Hello and welcome to Magzy Beauty, a place where we like to talk about and try on beauty products of any kind. Today I want to talk about the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Palette, and I've got a little bit of a story to tell, but I think before I tell you about my bad customer service, I'm going to first discuss the palette itself, and then I'll leave the story to the end. I do need to give a little bit of information before I tell the whole story at the end. So let's rewind to the beginning. I initially purchased the Owl Case palette on the Hourglass website because these ambient lighting palettes came in 4 different cases, 3 which you couldn't really customize if you bought anywhere but the Hourglass website, and then this Owl case was the online exclusive to the Hourglass website. You could actually customize any case with any palette, but you can only get this owl design on the Hourglass website, and I really like this owl. It's super cute and I really wanted the owl. And then you get 3 different color palettes. So you get the lightest one for light to fair skin, you get a medium color palette for medium skin, and you get a deeper palette for medium to deep skin tones, which is the one that I wanted to have in my owl case when I purchased this. But there was a glitch in the system and I never got the deeper palette. I got my owl case with the lightest colors in the palette, which I was very unhappy about, but again, I will leave all of the details of that at the end. I was actually very unsure about making this video because I didn't really want to talk about it, and I was a little bit about the whole situation. I haven't really used this palette much because, I don't know, it just kind of leaves a bad taste in your mouth, you know, when you have bad service. The lighter colors were too light for my skin tone. I think if I do put it on me, it's gonna look ghost-like unless I do something like put it on under my foundation for glowy makeup, which is something I might do because I have to use this palette now. I don't really have a choice in the matter. But what I did do was I used my points on Cult Beauty to pick up the snake. One of the reasons why I didn't want to buy one of the set ones is because I don't really like snakes. Because I wanted to try the actual colors, I used my points from Cult Beauty to get the snake at quite a nice discount. So I don't feel too bad about it. I kind of did a DIY of the two. So this is the snake case, and I put in the color palette, the lightest color palette in there, and I transferred the shades, and then I took the snake colors and I put it in my owl case, and I didn't do that good of a job. Let me show you. I butchered this whole thing. So this is the color palette 1 that I transferred, and you can see where I kind of used I used a spatula to, you know, kind of just pick it out of this thing, but I literally butchered this palette. I think I should be able to use at least these blush shades. I don't know. And then these highlighter shades, I really have no idea what I'm going to do with that. And this is the bronzer shade. Now, I actually haven't touched or swatched these colors because I wasn't sure whether I was going to give it away or not. But because of the way it looks, I think I'm just going to keep it and use it. So I'll do some swatches of this for you now. And then it went quite well when I transferred the deeper colors. I think I was getting better. But this actually started off as a very small nick, and now it's kind of bad. But I did collect what fell from here, and I kept it in a little a tiny little container. So what I have now is a makeshift owl palette of what I wanted. And if you want to know about the whole story of why I didn't get what I wanted, I'll talk about that at the end of the video. Before I talk about the actual shades in the palette, I have a really big problem with the packaging of this, and I'm not sure what the previous version, I don't know if the previous version had this or not, because I know last year there was the elephant and the tiger, and was it a butterfly? I'm not sure. But they also had these metal cases, and I don't know if the metal cases were exactly the same, but I have two problems with this palette. One is just this design of the mirror. So the mirror has this kind of flap, where the mirror itself just, there's no structure. So it doesn't stay up. It just hangs, which bugs me to no end. And then the other problem, because of this design, is if you're holding this, you know, like this, it just closes on me. It just slams when I use it. So when I try to use it, and I'm, you know, because I have to hold this up, sometimes I hold it up, but it's, you know, like this, and then it just snaps shut. The actual design of this, I think, is, you know, poorly designed. I think it could be better. But the look of the case is beautiful. So it looks beautiful. I just don't think that this is practical. And I feel like for the price that you pay, you should at least have some structure here. You could have some structure, and, you know, so that it doesn't snap close. I do like the fact that it has a magnet, so it does have a magnet when it closes. Aside from this mirror and this part of the packaging, I quite like how it looks. I like that you get a big mirror. I like how elegant this owl looks. Very cute, very elegant. I like the white. I'm not a fan of snakes, so I can't really comment about the packaging of the snake one. I'm just happy that I transferred it so I don't have to look at the snakes every time I use it now. The powders itself, I have used this a few times already, and I love the actual product. It's so beautiful. I'll do swatches for you now, and I have makeup on, but I haven't used this yet. So I'll sort of demo it on for you now to show you what some of it looks like. I won't use all the blushes, obviously. I'll use one of the blushes, and I'll show you what some of it looks like on my skin. So far, my experience with the actual powders in here have been fantastic. I cannot complain about that. That has just, you know, the quality of the powders and the way it looks on your skin is just beautiful. So with all of that said, and I know that it is a mouthful, let's get to swatching. I'm going to swatch the deeper colors first. I'm going to go in with this first shade, which is the finishing powder. I'm going to try and get quite a bit on my hand because it's quite a sheer powder. It's meant to be sheer. And so I'm just going to get quite a thick swatch if I can, because otherwise you won't be able to see it. So this second one is a blush, and this one is the highlighter. I think it's Radiant Light. I'm not exactly sure. So I've got quite a bit on my hand. Okay, so this is the finishing powder. I've got quite a bit on there. This is the blush. And this is the highlighter. And these are quite beautiful. I need to look on my snake palette because the actual shades are here. This is the finishing powder called Radiant Light. This is the blush in Coral Haze, and it is quite a lovely coral color. This is the metallic strobe powder. And the name of this is Infinite Strobe Light. These two shades are new, and the last three that I'll swatch now from the bottom are also all new. This is the second blush in the palette, And then this is the third blush in the palette. And this is the bronzer in the palette. Okay, so these are all of the colors. So this is the second blush. I think this one is called Sunbeam, and it's a beautiful orange shade. Then it's the third blush. And lastly, the bronzer. This blush is called Sunbeam. The last blush is called Mystic Flush. And the bronzer, which is a little bit hard to see, is called Solar Bronze. Now let's swatch the lighter shades. I'm going to do the same. I'm going to go in with the highlighter, and I believe that these three are blushes. I think this might be the finishing powder, and this is the bronzer. Okay. Highlighter. The first blush. And the second blush, which I don't even know if it's a blush. Okay. Bronzer. Blush. This is like a highlighter blush. And then this is the finishing powder. Okay, so let's compare the two. This one is clearly quite light. I think I can maybe use the two blushes, the one highlighter blush and the other blush. But the other colors, I have to say I really love the blushes in this deeper color palette. Actually, all of these colors are just beautiful. The bronzer just kind of melts into my skin. But I'll put that on now and we'll see what it looks like. I think I've used it before and I didn't have an issue with it. I think it did sort of bronze maybe when I build it up, but I can't remember now. So this is what both look like. And now I'm going to do a quick application. I'm going to use the Luvia contour brush to go into the bronzer. And it does really bronze up my skin. And for the blush, I'm going to go in with the Luvia powder brush into Mystic Flush. I'm just going to dab it on because it's quite pigmented. And actually, because I'm a bit scared, let me just take some of it off. It's quite pigmented. I'm going to use the contour brush again to go into the highlighter. That is so beautiful. And then I'm just going to go in with the finishing powder with the full face brush from Luvia. And I'm just going to put it all over. I'm going to come in a little bit closer so you can have a look. These powders are not something that you can actually see on the camera when you put them on. You notice a little bit of a difference, but when you look at it in person, you really see the emphasis of what it does. The blush, I kind of toned it down because it's quite pigmented and I didn't want to overdo it. The bronzer worked very well as well. It did bronze, but it's such an effortless bronze. It's very subtle, so it blends very easily and it does what you want it to do. And the highlighter as well is a beautiful highlighter. This shade on me and you can see when I turn my face how the light catches it. The product itself, the powders itself, are just beautiful and they work really well. And I can't complain about the powders itself. I've used them a few times and every time you just get this stunning look and it's effortless. But what I do want to talk about is my experience with the Hourglass website. So when these palettes came out, I knew that I wanted them because last year when the elephant and the tiger, and I don't know if it's the butterfly or if I'm imagining things, but there were 3 palettes last year and I really wanted the elephant because I love elephants. But I waited quite a while on that. I wasn't sure whether I wanted to buy it. And by the time I was on the fence for quite a while that the customization of it on the Hourglass website, they ran out of stock. And so I couldn't customize it anymore to get the deeper color with the elephant palette. And so then I decided that because I waited so long and I was on the fence, maybe I didn't really want to buy it. And so I decided that I would wait for the following year and see what they bring out, and then I will definitely get the new one, which is why I purchased the owl. When they released the new palettes this year, I immediately knew that I wanted the owl when I saw it, and I knew that I could customize it on the website, and so that's exactly what I did. I customized the palette on the website with the owl case and with the deeper shade palette. I think it's called color palette 3. At the time I didn't know about the names of the palettes, so when I went on the website, I clicked on the Hourglass palette and I clicked on the deeper shade palette, and then I added it to cart. But I didn't know that it incorrectly added the light palette to the cart instead of the one that I selected. So I got the palette with the lighter shade. It arrived like a month late. I think it was about a month late. Hourglass, when I reached out initially, because I didn't notice that they had shipped, I think it was like 2 weeks or 3 weeks after I ordered, the customer service was very responsive and they gave me my shipping money back. So I spent €6 on shipping and they refunded the €6 back to me because the shipping was delayed. That part of customer service worked very well. They were very efficient and they refunded me because I waited for a month until they shipped. Then when I actually received my palette, I got the light. So it's obviously not the palette that I ordered, or at least I thought I ordered, but on the system it shows the lighter palette with the owl case. Then I went to the website again and I checked because I know for a fact that I chose the deeper palette because there's no way I would choose the lighter palette. And I saw that there was a glitch. I don't know if it's on phones, on mobile, or I don't even know if other people had this glitch, but I would select the deeper palette, I would select the case I wanted, and I'd add it to cart, and it would not change. It would not change the label on it, but it changed on the selection screen. But what went to the cart actually was not what you selected in the picture. So I reached out to customer service. Initially, they said that they sent me the correct one. I had then went and checked on the site again, and then I noticed about the fact that it's not adding what I'm selecting, and I took a screenshot, a screen recording of that, and I sent it back to them. And they just told me that they couldn't recreate the glitch, and so they couldn't do anything about it. And they appreciate that I sent them the screen recording, but there's nothing more they can do. And they sent me, I think it was a 10% discount code. And they told me that if I would like to, I can return the palette for a refund. But the problem for me was, when I tried to return this palette, I got to the shipping page where it would have cost me €40 to send the palette back to them, which would come out of my refund, and I would have to accept this charge before I go ahead with the return. And that was really mind-boggling to me, because I don't understand why shipping was €6 when I ordered the palette, but it's €40 when I wanted to return the palette. And I clearly showed them that, you know, I didn't order the wrong thing. This is something that happened on their system, and, you know, I'd like to return the palette and get my money back. They did not try to give me a prepaid return label. I checked some of the rules of, you know, buying in the EU, and you're protected if you buy within the EU. But because this was buying outside of the EU, I would have to take it with a private company, and that's going to cost me money as well. So eventually I was just over it. I didn't want to go further. I figured, you know what, I would see if I can use the palette, and I don't want to fight any further. But what I will do is I will not be buying from their website again, given that they weren't really interested in helping to fix this. The fact that they could see that there was a problem and they didn't really care. I'm not going to buy from their website again. I do love their products. I probably will buy their products again, just not from their website, because I do enjoy using their products. I have their foundation, I have their concealer, I have the skin tint, even this palette, the deeper shades that actually suit my skin tone. I love the palette itself. I love the actual powders. I don't like the packaging that much. I like the look of the packaging. I just don't like the practicality of the packaging. But I have learned my lesson, and I will not be buying on their website again. It has left a little bit of a bitter taste in my mouth, I will say. It's disappointing when the customer care doesn't care enough to fix something that went wrong on their system that isn't the customer's fault. And so sometimes I feel like maybe I won't buy an Hourglass product again. I don't know. If the product itself is quite nice, maybe I will. But yeah, I don't know. I can't say anything for a fact at the moment because my mind might change at a later time. But this has been a disappointing experience for me, and I did want to make the video to let everybody know, especially those of us who are in the EU. There is an Hourglass UK website, but they don't ship to the EU. They just ship within the UK. And so if you are in the EU, you have to buy from the US website, and that can cause problems if you have issues with the product. It costs quite a bit of money to return the product. They don't provide a prepaid label, and they don't really care about fixing the issue, probably because they don't need to. They don't need to worry about fixing it because they know that they kind of covered on their side, I think. And why bother if they don't need to? It doesn't matter to them. So something like that, just, you know, it's disappointing. That's all I can say. I'm sorry to end this video in a bit of a disappointing way, but I thought that this needed to be said. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments if you had a similar experience with anything online, just so that, you know, we create awareness for people who are shopping online, so that we know what to look out for. So do let me know in the comments if you've had similar experiences, especially in the EU, but it doesn't matter where it is. It's good to raise awareness anyway. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, and please subscribe for more beauty content from me. And I hope that you have a lovely day further. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.